this thing of him, of abusing me, because he says he has social power, he has financial muscles, he has all of those things, of which he has proven because he's been dragging me, knowing that I'm silent. I want this abuse to stop. I am tired of this abuse. I'm tired of being silent. I'm tired of fighting all these battles silently. I go to lawyers. When I go to lawyers, if I pay my lawyer's fee, to him it's nothing, you know. And at that time, we are struggling. I just want this thing to end. I've been trying to get divorced to this guy. He's dragging.
Disclaimer: views and opinions expressed on this episode are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Safe Space Chats podcast or Madam Speaker or the position of any entities the guest and the host represent. Welcome to my channel. My name is Perseverance Maremeni, also known as Madam Speaker, also known as the CEO of Self-Love. If you're joining for the first time, welcome to the family of healing, self-love, and motivation. And if you're returning, thank you so much for the continuous love and support that you are showing me. You are on the Safe Space Chats podcast. This episode is not your usual episode. Actually, the intro is even being done at the end. Then we have to just put it in the front before we can actually start with the whole episode. But yeah, please do watch and enjoy. And yeah, let's take it away.
My name is Lekau. I'm Lekau Sehoana. I'm a mother to a son. By profession, I'm a business and a system analyst, and I'm also a businesswoman. I am from Ivory Park. I went to high school in Ivory Park. I went to primary in Ivory Park. And I finished my studies. I got a master's in applied sciences. During my final year, my mother passed away. So I'm the first child at home. I have 2 siblings. After she passed away, I had to take care of my siblings and also put myself through tertiary. And luckily, by the grace of God, I managed to get employment. And being a business-minded person, I bought property. I bought my first property while I was still staying at home. And then I built cottages to rent out. So life went by and I continued. Then I got married eventually. I got married to someone that I went to school with. I got married in 2018. I started dating this guy in 2016. It was 8 years later after knowing him. So when we were in a relationship, he was unemployed. So him being unemployed and I was employed, and being a business person, we started doing businesses. So there are we ventured into multiple businesses. And as time went by, we got married, I got pregnant, we got a baby, and yeah. So what happened is that while I was married, and during our marriage, that my then husband was not working. He was unemployed, as I've said. So I was the one who was funding the businesses. So we did multiple businesses. We were selling eggs, we were selling chickens, we did a shisanyama, and I was funding those. So I would go to work, come home, and then assist. And eventually we ventured into a sneaker brand. And as time went by, the guy was not working. So now I am a breadwinner. I'm a breadwinner at my mom's place. I'm a mother to my siblings. I'm also a mother to my child. And I'm a breadwinner in our household as a newlywed couple. And now I had financial strain to a point where we had to move into my mom's house.
Okay.
So I moved in with my husband into my mom's house. And that's when we started the sneaker brand. And as we went by, I got married to my husband, the then husband, and I only knew that his mother was staying in Limpopo. So a year later, I found out that actually his mother was not staying in Limpopo. She was staying around Ivory Park, where I grew, but in a squatter camp, not far from the relatives that we would normally go to. Yeah. And when I figured and discovered the situation that the mother was in, I had a conversation with his son to say, I think we should move your mom out of the squatter camp. She should go stay in one of my properties. So before getting married, I bought a property and then I built apartments and cottages. So I asked one of the tenants to move out, and we asked Ma to move into the house. So Ma moved into the house together with her daughter. who is a little sister to my then husband. So when Ma moved in, she stayed there, and then we did the business. And fortunately, this time, this business was a success. And me being at work, and the husband being on the floor, he was the face of the business, and I was the backbone of the business. So I would go at work, come back, and do your e-commerce, take orders, and as a system and a business analyst, I had the luxury to do work from home. So at times would go do deliveries. I'd go deliver with him. So it's not only the sneakers. We were doing deliveries from chickens. I would have my laptop on the side, have my child at the back, and go deliver your chickens. We're delivering chickens, we're delivering eggs, and so forth. So when time went by, the business was now growing. As the business was growing, my private car, which we used to use to deliver, it was not sufficient. We had to buy a business car. But now the husband had not been working for 2 years, and he didn't have a good credit. So, and the business was less than 6 months, so it couldn't afford to buy a business car. So I had to go and buy a business car on my name. So I bought the first business car that we bought for the brand. It was under my name. It's still under my name, and it's still being used at the company. So I've been the resources. I've been resourceful from the get-go, from the start of the business. I've been there financially, and also working as well. I would go and do deliver sneakers. As the brand grew, we bought the car and we'd use the car. But now as the brand grew, that's when the downfall in our marriage came, because now the husband gained popularity, I could say. He gained popularity, and now he had a new circle and, exposed to new, I could say, environment that affected our home, because we'd come home late and I would say, could you tell me next time when you come home that you'll be late, you're attending a conference or whatever it might be, because I'm sitting at home, I might be worried that maybe you got yourself involved in a car accident. Just communicate. And then in the beginning there was that, and then unfortunately it got worse, because now he would come home toxinated, and now he would come home doing things that I am not used to, like participating in rituals that we are not used to, And when I would talk about the rituals, to say, why are you doing such things? Coming at home at 3 a.m. and slaughtering cows and stuff like that, slaughtering chickens and stuff like that. It was something that I was not used to, and I would be shocked. And when I spoke about it, that's when the abuse just escalated. Now it was no longer about the coming home late. It was just a lot of things. And at the time, I remember the sneaker had bad review, and they were saying the sneaker is not of good quality, and people were just bashing it. So every time he would have, because he was the face of the business, is the face of the business. Every time there would be a lash out on the social media or the troll, they'll come directly to him, and he'll take out his frustrations on me. So it got to a point that the abuse was a lot, and we have a small child. Our child at that time, he was a year old, and it got to a point where I said, you know what, this is not it. I think our child is getting exposed to this. Phones are being broken every week, buying new TVs every week. It's best if we separate. And then he was saying he's going through a lot of pressure from social media, and he's going through a lot of childhood trauma now, because he's exposed to a lot of things right now, things that he couldn't afford previously and stuff, and people and stuff. So he'd come home very toxinated and just abuse me to a point where it would be physical. So when we spoke about this, we're like, maybe you need to move out and go for therapy, work on yourself. And during that time, we were in the process of buying a house. So we bought a house, and then he moved out. After moving out, he left us in the house. In the new house, we're doing renovations. We stayed behind in a rented house. And so he moved into the new house. But when he left, the agreement was he's going for therapy, and once he's okay, we would move in together into the new house. So
it was just for separation.
It was separation because he was going through a lot, and him going through a lot, I was receiving the when he's being trolled or whatever, when he comes home, he would take out his frustrations on me. So the conversation was like, you go deal with yourself, go for therapy and all that. So he said he'll go for therapy. But now he would come home every other day. So he would rent an apartment somewhere, and let's say in 7 days, he'd come home four times. So he'd come on Monday, come on Wednesday, come on Friday. Like he'd just come on every other day. And when he comes on those days, he comes at very odd hours. He'd come at 11 o'clock at night, or come at 5 a.m. And when he comes at home, he just come at home and be, intimate with me, and then immediately leave. So that got worse to a point where I told him that you are going for therapy, but I'm getting hurt. You can't just come home and please yourself and then go, And then it got to a point where he said, no, but you're my wife. I married you. What do you mean? You want to deprive me. Why do you want to deprive me? Such. I'm like, but I'm getting hurt at that at this expense. I'm getting hurt. And then the abuse just escalated to a point where we now started talking about divorce. We said we'd rather get a divorce. Let's just divorce. This thing is not working. It's not working out for me. It's not working out for our child. It's not a safe and a healthy environment for us. It's toxic. Let's just separate. So as I did that, he would come at home at those odd hours, to a point where I had to change the door locks, because he's a husband. It's his home. He had spare keys. So I had to change door locks to stop him from coming home and continuing with the abuse that was happening. So when I changed the door locks, he would call or come and knock. If I don't open the door, he would call me and say, but I want to see the child. I'm like, okay, it's fine. You can see the child, but call me in a timely manner. During hours, tell me in advance that you want to see the child. You can't come here at 11 p.m. and say you want to see the child. Yeah. And previously, when he was coming, he would make sure that he comes at odd hours when the child was sleeping. But now that I've changed the locks, he now wants to come into the house to see the child while he's sleeping. So it went on, and as it went on, it got to a point where he says, okay, fine. So I was going through a lot. Emotionally, I was going through a lot. In my marriage, I was going through a lot, to a point where my employment ceased. So after losing my job, I went through a lot of, I could say I was outbent. And he said, yeah, you're not working. So if you're not going to open for me, I'll stop paying rent. I'll not send you money. And then he stopped paying me rent. If I would not succumb to what he says, he would not send money. So for years, I would go. From that time he left, he wouldn't send money. And I would tell him that, I've lost my job. Could you just assist with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
And is the money the same money that's coming from the businesses that were started with
you? Yes,
okay.
It's the same money that started from the business that I started, from the business that I founded, from the business that I've provided all those resources and I've built from the ground. Okay. So now he says, okay, if you're not gonna succumb to what I'm saying, I'm not gonna send you money. I'm not gonna pay rent. So we would go months without having electricity. Would go months without having gas. Would go months without having hot water, to a point where I would have to take my son to the clubhouse so that he can have hot shower. So that's how bad the situation was. So I said to him, we're getting a divorce. We're definitely getting a divorce. And he was, every time when you do that, you say, I'm going to apply for divorce. And I applied for divorce. So when my lawyers reached out to him and said, your wife has started with the litigation for divorce, he called me and said, hi, I got a call from your lawyers. Can we solve this amicably? Let's not go to court. Okay. Because if we go to court, I'm a public figure right now. This thing is going to blow. It's going to be all over, and I know you're a private person. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's solve this. Let's just resort it out of court. This is 1, 2, 3. I want a house because you've moved into the house that we bought, and we're staying in a rented house. I want a house. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We agreed on the things that we're going to do for settlement. And then he said, when my lawyers reached out to him, it was in June. So he said, yeah, now it's June. The business is a bit low. So we'll have to wait for December, let's wait for festive. And then I'll buy you and I'll fulfill all those other agreement after the festive season, which is in Jan. So Jan comes, it was 2022. So Jan comes, and then I ask him, now it's Jan, let's buy a house. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The child needs to go to school. And he said, but you are not working. Why do you want the child to go to school? And the child is still young, you know. And then I'm like, but I need a nanny then. I am currently not okay. So I need a nanny. You know, if I want to go somewhere, if I want to, I can't constantly have a child with me. And then he paid school fees for like 3 months, and then he stopped. If he immediately stopped, and then we spoke about it. Can you please continue paying school fees? He didn't pay school fees, you know. So it got to a point from 2022 up until 2024, he wasn't paying school fees. Yeah. So before that, when I didn't succumb to whatever he'd say, he'd stop sending money. Now I'm staying at home, I'm staying with the child. And he's staying there, he's enjoying the money. And he's completely stopped coming and having interaction with the child. But even during that, I maintained the relationship between my son and his family. I would take my son to his grandmother. Similarly, because his grandmother, I was very close to the mother, Ma, who's the grandmother to my son. I would take the child there every now and then. And so he completely shut everyone out. He wasn't taking care of Ma. He'd go months without seeing Ma and stuff like that. And I was financially taking care of Ma and housing Ma. So in 2022, when I applied for that divorce, he said, let's wait for 2023 so we can settle out of court. 2023 comes, he's not doing as we agreed. It's Jan, it's Feb, it's March. I'm like, but we agreed and the time has elapsed. Yeah. Can we just have progress? I also want to move on with my life. You know, you and I are definitely not working. We are getting divorced. Can we just settle this thing? And he said, now it's April. He's saying, yeah, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. But it's just empty promises. Yeah. I went back to the lawyers. So when I went back to the lawyers, this time he didn't call me. He called his uncle, and his uncle requested for a family meeting. So his uncle contacted my family, and we had a meeting. So when we had a meeting, that dragged about 2 months. You know, the meeting dragged about 2 months, and he told me that, you know what, you're just being stubborn. Take whatever that I am giving you. You know, just take whatever that I'm putting on the table, because if I want, I can just make sure that you leave this place with no cent.
So what is this new thing that he was putting on the table?
The offer. Remember, 2022, it was me and him. I contacted my lawyers, and then he contacted me and said, let's resolve out of court. Yeah. And then we agreed on things that we will do, like a house. And then he didn't honor that. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to the lawyers, and the lawyers saying, okay, we're proceeding. He calls his uncle. His uncle calls my family. We're having a family meeting, and then we're now discussing the settlement. Okay. So when we're discussing the settlement, he says, but I can't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So as I'm saying, I feel like I'm entitled. This is rightfully what I would like to have. This is rightfully mine, you know. And then he says, you know what, I'm very powerful. I'm a prominent figure. I have connections. I control social media. I have connections with the officers. I have politicians and celebrities in my palm, in my payroll. So just take whatever that I'm giving you. Otherwise, I'll destroy you. Stop being greedy. Just take whatever I'm giving you. Actually, I'm making you a favor. I can just leave you as you are. And I'm like, okay, but we're having meetings, and this is not what we're agreeing to. But now it has dragged, and I am worn out. I'm finally succumbed to that. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's just sign. Let's just sign. I'll take this and that, whatever we agreed on. Let's just sign. When we were supposed to sign, this is like 2 months later, and my mom passed away when I was still in tertiary. So I'm asking my relatives, who's my aunt and my uncles, to come and assist. He's also asking, his family are also coming there. Mm-hmm. They go to work. After 6, they come and join the meetings. They're worn out. It's 2 months. We are tired. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to sign. We say, okay, sign. He comes with stories to say, I'm on a business trip. And then next time it's I'm out of town. Next time he said he's sick, you know, and it was followed by he's going on operation. And now we're thinking, oh, he's sick. This is serious. We're wishing him a speedy recovery, only to find that this guy is buying time. He's orchestrating. He's building things against me. So while we're waiting for him to go on operation, the next thing I see, I am trending on social media. I am trending there saying I am a gold digger. Sure. He started the business after we got divorced, and now I'm coming for his shares. I want shares out of a business that I'm not even entitled to because he started the business after the divorce. And I was surprised that to this day we're still married. What does he mean after the divorce? And then my family is calling him. What's happening? The time has elapsed. You said you are sick. You said you're going to you're out of town. You said your lawyers are working on the document because now we're moving employees. We're splitting things. You said you're going to Department of Labor, but time has elapsed. What's happening? And now we're seeing things are trending. Now you're saying you and our daughter have divorced. He started not answering calls. So the following week I trended again. But this time it was not me being a gold digger. This time it was I am mentally ill. I am admitted. And I got a call. When I got the call, I was in a restaurant with my son and my sister. So a friend calls me with a video call. I'm answering the phone. I'm like, how? My sister, you are in a restaurant. You are apparently trending on social media. Well, now we know that you are in hospital. Apparently you are sick. You are mentally disturbed. And I'm not a social person. I'm not on social media. So I was shocked to find that I was trending. And then it was after that, another story trended. So I was trending for like every weekend, every Sunday I was trending. Like when it comes to Saturday, I'm like, oh my God, what's next now?
Sure.
What's next? Last week, I was a gold digger. This week, I am mentally disturbed. The other week came and then they said, the husband says he's paying maintenance. I am staying in his house in Waterfall. I am driving a car which is worth 2 million rands, giving the details of where I'm staying, the car I'm driving, which is putting a risk for my life and my son's life, and also lying and saying he gives me money, of which he didn't give me money, and saying I'm a divorce refugee. And at that time, we've been waiting for him. We have conversations where I've been talking to him to a point I told him that, do you realize you're abusing me? You can't be abusing me for this long. I also need to move on with my life. Yeah. And then I said, you know what, from now on, please talk through my family, talk through my aunt. I don't want to talk to you directly, So he said, this woman, I'm giving her money. She's a divorce refugee. She doesn't want to sign the documents. Where else we're waiting for him to sign the documents? Yeah. So while we're at that, we're still confused. He orchestrated another story. As he was saying that he's very powerful. He has money and all the resources, He said, now I was trending. He went and changed his profile picture, his location to say he's in France. After changing the location to say he's in France, an article came out to say he likes calling himself a prominent figure. He says a prominent figure ran away from South Africa because of his wife. His wife hired a hitman. Yes, his wife hired a hitman on him. At that time, I'm shocked. I'm sleeping. The next thing, I'm sleeping around 11. People are just waking me up, and then I got detained. So I'm like, okay, what's happening? They said, your husband, we're here because your husband said we must come arrest you. You've hired a hitman against him. And I'm shocked. It was on a Friday. On a Saturday, this guy, who's apparently in Paris, was partying in Saint-Tin. He was partying in Saint-Tin at Rich Munis's party, 2023, wearing red. And people spotted him and said, you are trending. Apparently, you flew out of South Africa.
Because there's a hitman coming after you.
Because you are afraid for your life, but you're in Saint-Tin. And then he posed and saying, if you see me, wherever you see me, we are in Paris. If you're in Midrand and you see me in Midrand,
that means you're also in Paris.
We're in Paris. At that time, I am trending. And it's that thing that he told me, that he controls social media. He will ruin me, he will mess with me. I should just take whatever, otherwise he'll deal with me. So he was definitely dealing with me. So after doing that, the following day, he went on a soccer tournament. So like, for someone who's very scared for his life, you are partying out. Apparently, you're supposed to be in Paris, but now you're in South Africa. Not only are you in South Africa, you're also going to a soccer tournament. that's very interesting, you know. And then I came back home. When I came back home, we saw that this family thing, it's not working.
Yeah.
I had to go back to the lawyers again. I went back to the lawyers. When we go to the lawyers, he tells me, I have the money and all the time. You're going to be worn out. You are living out of your savings. You're going to be worn out. Let's see. Let's go to court. He goes to court. He doesn't comply. So when you go through divorce, they would say, disclose your financials. He doesn't disclose his financial. On the court day, when you go for what do you call it? Court sitting, he would say, he'd come with excuses to say, I haven't disclosed my financials because my accountant is pregnant and she's on maternity leave. Sure. Next time, he'd say, my accounts are frozen. So it was excuse after excuse. And then my lawyers were like, okay, fine. Since this is what you're saying, let's just go and apply for spousal maintenance. This guy is dragging the divorce. Let's go for spousal maintenance. We went for spousal maintenance. So in Feb, they ordered him to pay spousal maintenance and pay school fees. Remember, from 2022, now it's 2024, our child is 6 years old. He's not going to school. So they said, please go and pay for the child's school fees. This is in Feb. Pay for the child's school fees. This is the court order. He goes months without doing what he was ordered to do. I had to go back to the lawyers and say, this is what's happening. This guy is not paying maintenance to this day. And they went back to him, say, you have to pay. And then he said, okay, fine, I'll pay for school fees. He paid school fees. He had errors. Remember, our child, he paid 3 months and stopped. So when we wanted to take the child back to the same school, they said, but you have arrears. You haven't paid this. You need to pay this. He paid that and paid a month. So he paid 1 month of school fees. Now it's July. He stopped. He didn't pay. So it's been back and forth. So in Feb, he reached out to my lawyers after the court order for him to pay maintenance. He reached out to my lawyers and say, can we settle on a round table? My lawyers, his lawyers have withdrawn. So can we settle on the round table?
With just your lawyers?
With just my lawyers and him.
Okay.
We say, okay, fine, let's do that. We sit for 2 months. It's Feb, so we said March, April, May. Okay, we agree on what we need to agree. 90% of the only thing that we don't agree on, it's a lump sum. And we're like, but for the child to go to school, we don't have to pay we don't have to agree on the lump sum. Can the child go to school as is now? Because he's being delayed, you know, and he's grown. He needs to be in school by now. And so when he's supposed to sign, he says, I'm sick. He plays the I'm sick game.
Story. Yeah.
I'm sick. I'm out of town. I'm in Dubai. I'm in China. I'm coming back. And during that time, he's not paying rent where we're staying. And when he's not paying rent, they suspend the services. And I tell him, they have suspended our services. Please pay rent. He says, no, I'm coming. I've made an arrangement with the landlord. I'm coming back. I'm going to pay. I lost my phone. I can't pay right now because I'm overseas. I lost my phone. I have to, all those. It was just excuse after excuse. So it being an excuse after excuse, it got to a point where the landlords were tired of us not paying. They evicted us. So in Jan, when we're busy going on court, we got an eviction letter to say you need to move out of the place by month end. At that day, when the estate manager sent, I think they sent their people to come and evict us. So they wanted to change the locks. So at that day when they were there, my brother was at home and I was at court with his lawyers. So when they came, my brother called me and said, there are people who are here, they want to change the locks because you haven't paid. They're evicting us and they're telling us that they will withhold the furniture. So we tell the lawyers and his lawyers tell him, they convey the message, he pays the rent immediately for Jan. It comes Feb, he doesn't pay. Now the estate is fed up with us. They go and apply for court order to evict us, officially evict us. So on the 26th of June, last month, we got evicted. So on the 8th, we get the documentation to say, 8 June, we get the documentation to say, you're going to be evicted if you don't pay your money. I sent the guy the document to say, okay, listen, this is what we've got. We're going to be evicted. And then he says, I spoke to those people. There's nothing I can do. We just have to move. Him saying we just have to move. Now it's July. The child is not going to school. We got evicted on the 26th. We got evicted. We moved our furniture because they told us if we don't go, they'll come, they'll take the furniture, and they'll suspend the furniture up until we pay the outstanding money. So we moved out, and then on the 3rd, I think I sent him a message on the 3rd of July to say, you know what, we're coming back from winter holidays. Please pay school fees and also find us a replacement home. I've already done researches. There are several places that I found that are privately owned because the estate would not take us because of the bad record of payment that has happened. And then he keeps quiet. He keeps quiet. Time goes by. I tell him again, we got evicted. We've moved. We are homeless now. And he says, I called those people. The eviction, it's now cancelled. You can go back. I'm like, but you told us to move out. We've moved out. And for years, like from last year, we'd go without electricity and all that because you're not paying. Yeah. And now you're saying we should move back. I have rented the removal trucks to move the furniture. We've moved out. Since we've moved out, just send the money directly so I can pay for our new accommodation. He didn't send the money, So it's just being story after story. I've been trying to get divorced to this guy forever. Like from 2022, we've been trying to get divorced, where I included lawyers. And before including lawyers, we had a conversation to say, this is not working, let's just divorce, But it didn't happen. But instead, he goes on social media and he trends me. He just puts my name on the mud, as he said that he owns social media. He just goes on social media and abuses me on social media, and he lies and says he's sending us money. Where else he's not? He's been ordered on the 29th of Feb to pay maintenance. To this day, he hasn't paid maintenance. He hasn't paid the amount that they said he should pay. So on to a point where now I have to go back to the lawyers to say, guys, please assist. This guy is not paying maintenance. Yes, there's a court order against him, but he's not paying maintenance. There's like, okay, then now we need to take him to the sheriffs. Yeah. So the sheriffs went to him and I sent him a letter to say, listen, the sheriff came and they asking me for a go-ahead. They're going to come and take your furniture. I do not want to take your furniture. It's not helping either of us. I just want our child to go to school. We just want to have a stable home. Please send your maintenance in. And then he says, I'll send it, I'm coming. And then he doesn't send it. And he says, everything is everywhere. I'm talking to my lawyers, we're going to send money. He didn't send money. And I'm like, okay, it's over a month now. The sheriff, when they went there, they were going for March and April. Now it's July. He hasn't paid. So he hasn't paid March, April, May, June, July, So now it's the 25th. 25th last week, I think on Thursday. The sheriff, they go there. And every time the sheriff, for every legal assistance that I ask, I have to pay. If I ask the lawyers to go to court, I have to pay. As I said, he'll suck me dry. He has the money and the time. So if I ask the sheriff to go and do attachment, I have to pay. So the sheriff went there and now they wanted to attach the assets. And then he calls and say, I'm willing to give you 10% of the money that you're requesting, the sheriff is requesting. And I'm like, why didn't you give me that 10% all along? Why did I have to go through the entire process? Why did I have to go to the sheriffs, go to the lawyers and all that? You could have communicated and said, listen, I'm going to give you this much and I'm going to give you this much. I'm communicating with you to say this is currently happening. Pay school fees, pay this, And he said, no, I'm going to give you 10% of the money that the sheriff, that I owe you. Yeah. Please tell the sheriff not to take the assets. And I told the sheriff to say, you know what, this issue has been dragging for way too long. Yeah. I have been very civil with this guy for way too long.
You've been lenient.
I've been protecting my family and I've been protecting the business for a very long time because I it's not only a me and him thing. We have employees there. Yeah. So whatever things that we are happening between us, they would affect the business. So I tried for so long to be very civil with this guy, but nothing happens. So last year, hence I'm saying I've maintained a relationship between him and his mother, my son and his mother. I'll take my son to his mother, and I went away. And when I came back, I went on a weekend. It was on my birthday. So I went away for my birthday celebration. When I came back, the child had cultural cuts on the forehead, on the back, on the body. You could see they used needles and razors and all that. And I asked Ma to say, Ma, what's happening? What's this? And then Ma said, no, he came like this when he came back from his dad.
Yeah.
And I called him to say, listen, bro, when you do your whatever, don't involve my son in your cultural things, in whatever you're doing. Don't involve my son. Because earlier on, when he started with those chicken things, he said, do you think all those businesses that are successful is due to prayer? You need to strengthen your business, And it was a bit of something that is new to me, because even for our first business car, we took our business car to church. Our first car, we took it to church so that they could pray for it. Now he's exposing us to things that we don't know. And when I talk about it, it just gets into a fight. So now I don't feel safe taking the child to his grandmother and leaving the child there, to a point that now when the child goes visit the grandmother, I would take the child, and normally I would take the child and leave the child with the grandmother Friday, Saturday, so that he plays with his cousins, But this time I go, he visits the grandmother, and I come back, So the court order told him that you need to spend time with your son. It was in Feb. They told him he needs to spend time with his son, see his son twice a month. Up to date, he only saw his child twice.
Sure.
So he would call and say, I'm coming to see the child. I'm like, okay, cool. And then wait for him. He doesn't come. He's been doing this for long, And then it got to a point where I said, next time when you want to see a child, tell me 2 days in advance so I can prepare the child. Because sometimes we might have planned, a getaway, or maybe we go into the zoo or whatever. Or for me to prepare the child. Tell me so that I can prepare the child. And he'd send SMSs to say, I'm going to come pick up the child, and it doesn't come. I send him messages to say, listen, next time if you will not be able to come, just update us. Cancel, tell us that you will not be able to come to see the child. So that's that. And now the divorce, he's just dragging the divorce. Yeah. Now he got a new lawyer. In Feb, his lawyer's terminated. I'm not sure why, what could be the reason for them to terminate their mandate. Yeah. But they terminated, and then again, now in June, when he's supposed to sign, he gets new lawyers. When new lawyers come, they say we need to start afresh the process. We need to do the financial disclosure, which is something that he was supposed to do last year in October. And in between, he's been moving assets. He's been moving properties from his name into other entities, So now they say, let's go and do the financial disclosure. We're like, but we already have an agreement. Why are we starting everything all over again? And I even sent him a message to say, why are you dragging this thing? Are you up to your tricks? Because last year we had family meetings, and when we were having family meetings, you were saying, you will sign, you're sick, you're out of town. Next thing I was trolling, next thing I was on social media, next thing, it was story after story. So to this point, this is what's happening. I'm trying to get divorced to this guy. He's just dragging. He's just dragging the whole thing, and he's just abusing us. Because as we speak, we got evicted. He doesn't care. On the 25th, the sheriff went to his place. They took the assets. They took his furniture. On the 25th, he throws a big party for the business to say the business is the business is celebrating 5 years of existence, But a day before, his furniture got evicted, and he didn't send money, And now it's his son's birthday. He didn't even buy one cake, or I don't know, He's just not bothered, And then he goes on social media and he plays a different. He's a different person from social media to being an individual. Like privately, he's a success, and privately, he's a failure. You can't be a success and your child doesn't go to school. Like, what kind of a man do we have to force you? Do I have to go to lawyers to instruct you to pay for your child's school fees? This is basic needs, but I have to go to lawyers every now and then, So this guy I've been abused. I went through a lot, and there are some things that I cannot talk about because there are legal litigations that are going, like protection order, that I cannot disclose the context of. But in a nutshell, I've been abused, and he knows that I'm not a person who likes social media. He knows that I'm not a person who will open up to social media. And then he's using that to drag me. Now there are court papers that evicted us from the place. And then he goes and says, they are not evicted. I still have a place, you know. So to him, this is just a game.
Sure.
To him, this is just a game. I've tried to get divorced. We've been trying to get divorced. I had a conversation with him before going to the lawyers. The family intervened. Still nothing happened. The lawyers, to this day, we're still speaking. We're still singing one song. And he told me that he has power. He will use his finances. He has connections. He has officers on his payroll. He has social media. He knows how to make this thing trend. You know, he'll mess me up. And this is like, I am tired because this has been dragging. And I've been silent for a very long time. Yeah. And I've been silent on the business that I've started. When this business started, he was staying in my mom's house. When this business started, his mom was staying in my house that I'm using, my business property. I moved his mom from a shack. There's now a shack that apparently our sneaker started from. When the sneaker started, his mom was staying in my house. I had moved his mom into my house. You know, my brothers were there, my brothers and their friends. They were the ones who were packaging, the boxes.
Yeah.
When you make an order, I would come home, take orders, and there would be a list. We call it e-commerce, you know.
Yeah.
Our brothers would have to say, okay, you want a size 5, a yellow one, we put in size 5, and then he goes and deliver. So now it seems like I'm a gold digger. This business started when I was not there. I'm coming for things that I'm running away from divorce, which is not the truth. The actual truth is he's delaying this entire process. The actual truth is he's not even paying a cent towards maintenance. The actual truth is I've started this business. I used to provide for his mom. I would even buy his mom the pets. I would buy his sisters, you know, they would call me and say, we don't have food. While he was celebrated on publicly, he would be sponsoring big events. He'll be sponsoring big events. He'll be sponsoring soccer teams. He would be, you know, people are praising he will be singing his praises. At that time, his mother will be calling me and say, my daughter, could you please buy me electricity? We don't have electricity. His brother will be calling me and say, could you please send me money? They just kicked our kid out of school. It's Christmas. We don't have food, you know. So we have been abused for too long. We've been abused for too long. This guy in public, he's a different person from what he is in actual real life, you know. And I'm not sure if this is a game for him or what. I'm not sure if it's a game for him or what. But you can't say someone it's a divorce refugee when else we've been on your case to say, please sign. Like, I have a lot of conversations, a lot of documents that shows that we've been trying to get divorced and he's not coming to the party. I have proof to show that I am the one who started the business financially. Not only the sneaker business. We had eggs. We were selling eggs at some point. We were using my private car. We were selling chickens at some point. I was doing those things with him. This is not the first business that we've done together. Yeah. And now it comes as if I'm a gold digger who just wants money out of this thing. And I've been very silent because I don't like social media. I've been very silent. I've tried to solve this thing civil. I've tried to solve this thing amicably. But it's difficult to do this thing with someone who just...
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah, I went through a lot to a point that I even got miscarriage. I got miscarriage because of all this thing that was happening. To him, he doesn't care. It doesn't bother him, you know. He doesn't act. The only time he wants to act is when something is affecting him. Like now, when they say they're coming to evict the furniture, that's when he's calling and saying, can I send you this much? Whereas we're saying the child doesn't have food. He goes and make parties. Why are you making parties when your child doesn't have food? Why are you going? And now he's saying there's no eviction. There are eviction letters. There are documents. They are proof to say these people have been evicted from this place. There are proof that says these people have, you know, emails back to back where we're saying we don't have electricity. Yeah. Please pay. I even reached out to to our family, close family, reach out to friends, say privately, you know, to say, guys, this is what I'm going through. Please talk to this guy. Yeah. Tell this guy to sort the divorce. Tell this guy to take care of his kid. Tell this guy. And when I do that, instead of him paying school fees or paying maintenance, he sends his lawyers and say, tell this woman that we're going to sue her. tell her that we're going to sue her. She needs to stop what she's doing. I'm like, you have money to pay your lawyers, but you don't have money to pay. Why aren't you paying rent? Pay rent. You have money to pay lawyers, but you don't have money to pay for your child school fees. You don't have money to pay for your fatherly duties. I have to always come with lawyers and say, we have to always drag you. You know, so I am so tired. I am tired of being abused by this guy. I am tired of being abused by this guy. I have suffered so much in silence. I have suffered so much in silence.
And there's a letter that I saw on social media, I think it was yesterday, where it was said that you were not found in that place, you know, in your apartment. When the police went there, they found other people. That's why he canceled the lease and whatnot.
So, you know what? This guy, he's a pathological liar. He lies back to back. He has tricks back to back. Reason I'm saying this, he says people. He says he sent an email to the estate on the 20th of June. Where else we got the letter on the 8th? I've sent him the letter on the 8th to say we're being evicted from this place. And he said, guys, please move out. There's nothing I can do. I have documents. I have conversations with him. And now that we've moved out, he comes with stories. He even came with a story to say they broke into a shack. Why would someone go and broke into an empty shack? It's because now he's just trying to make... He told me that he knows how social media works. If you post something, you'll post 10 things. Whatever that you've posted, it will go down there. It will not trend because he'll post 10 things. So this is just one of his tricks. This is one of his tricks. He's just... I mean, I have documents. I can even show you documents where conversations with him to say, bruh, please pay rent. Please pay rent. April, I even told him, please pay rent. Otherwise, I'll be forced to open up and go to your family. I don't want to be that person who go up to your friends and talk about your marital issues, you know. But he doesn't come to the party.
Yeah.
Instead, he goes on social media and make this all a game. Go on social media and say, I am a gold digger, I am mentally disturbed, I am all sorts of names. But the actual truth, he doesn't say the actual truth. He doesn't say, this is the same woman who took me, who started the business with me. This is the same woman I stayed at. He stayed at my mom's house for a year. Do you know, for a woman to bring a man and they stay at your house, how does the community take you? You know, but our situation was intense to a point that he had to move into our house because I was the only breadwinner, and a lot of people were depending on me, not only him and also my child and his mom. I was also taking care of his mom. He doesn't talk about that. He doesn't talk about the truth, about the business, about the truth. He only talks about, you know, he just...
Looking back at how you have always been there for this guy and the way that he's treating you, do you feel like he ever even loved you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
It's very hard to think of him and think of love because of what we've went through. You know, it's very hard to think of... It's a lot of people who get divorced, but it doesn't have to get this messy. Yeah. It's a lot of people who get divorced, but the children don't have to suffer. Why would your child suffer? So I can't even relate love with this guy. I don't know.
Sure. And this is very brave for you to actually come forward and speak, especially considering the fact that you're not a social media person, you know. But overall, with you just eventually coming forward and sharing your story, what is it that you are hoping to achieve?
I just hope he comes, he signed the divorce, the divorce settlement, so I can move on with my life, so my child can have a stable home, for the sake of my child. And I also need to move on with my life. I can't be dealing with one thing over and over. And I want this thing of him, of abusing me, because he says he has social power, he has financial muscles, he has all of those things, of which he has proven because he's been dragging me, knowing that I'm silent. I want this abuse to stop. I am tired of this abuse. I'm tired of being silent. I'm tired of fighting all these battles silently. I go to lawyers. When I go to lawyers, if I pay my lawyer's fee, to him it's nothing, you know. And at that time, we are struggling. I just want this thing to end. I've been trying to get divorced to this guy. He's dragging. He's a front. He's a narcissist because he goes on social media. He says something else. He comes this side. He says something else. He's dragged my family into meetings, knowing very well that he's not going to sign the settlement. He dragged these are old people. They had to come to meetings. We would go there at 7, leave the meeting room at maybe 12. You know, in the morning they have to wake up and go and go to work. He doesn't care. You know, I just want this abuse to stop. I am tired of the abuse. I want to move on with my life, and I want to set the record straight that I'm the one who started this business with him. People from where we're coming from, they know very well that this business started at my home. The people from our area, they know very well that I took his mom out of a shack into my house. Even my
probably
current,
the same shack that he's saying that's where the business started.
the same shack that he's saying the business started. Even my tenants, they know that the lady who was staying there, it's my mom. She was my, I would not say my ex-mom-in-law.
Yeah.
She's the grandmother to my child, and that will always remain. She'll always be a family to me. Yeah. That's why I was housing her, because she was a family to me. I was taking care of my family at that time, but now he's just turning this thing into a circus. He's turning this thing. This guy is cruel. I mean, I feel like this whole thing that is happening, it's so unnecessary. He's very selfish. He's very greedy, because we could have settled this divorce a long time ago, but it's dragging, and he's coming with tricks. He's coming with stories every now and then, which is very unnecessary. You know, now he goes and says the shoe started at that shack. The shoe didn't start at that shack. When we started this shoe, his mother was staying in my house. He was staying in my mom's house. Yeah. You know.
Sure. Hey, sis, you can take another deep breath. Yo.
Yeah.
But I'm actually glad that you were here to share your story, you know, because this is a story that, because I said off camera to you that if you don't share your own story, people are going to tell your story on your behalf. And it's a very brave thing that you have done to eventually gather the strength to come and share your story and to say enough is enough. Because you know that if you're not doing anything about it, then you are literally going to just die, you know, eventually, because this thing is going to finish you off. It's going to eat you up until you are left, like you're going to disappear, you know. So you being able to come forward and speak, you know, for yourself, this is a brave thing that you have done. And I do believe, Hore, since now you are playing in his territory, then you will get to understand Hore. And everybody has a voice and everybody has a story to share.
It's sad that it had to come to this. I would have really appreciated not for it to get to the state, taking the fact that he will always be the father to my child.
Yes.
You know, our child one day will go on social media and he will hear all these things, all this unnecessary drama that is happening. It's unnecessary. It's unfortunate that it got to this point. But anyway, I see that I'm being abused. He knows that I'm not going to come here. He goes on social media and he does all those things because he knows that, she's not a social person. She'll not speak up. She'll go to her lawyers, and we know how to play the court thing. We'll delay. I mean, we've delayed. It's a long time. Yeah. I've separated with this guy in 2020. Today is 2024. We're still singing the same song, and I'm suffering. In the meantime, he's not suffering anything because he's still benefiting all the benefits from the company that we've started. Now we need to split. It's a problem. It's story after story. It's enough. I'm tired.
Enough is enough. Sure. Yeah, no. I appreciate you coming here to share your story, even though it's not a pleasant story to share.
It's not a pleasant.
You know, I do believe that all these things, like you said, that they're unnecessary. You know, they could have been resolved, you know, privately. But obviously, because you can see that this is an intentional move to just wear you out completely, you can tell that, listen, it's either I get myself out of here or I'm going to die in this situation. So we're going to have to wrap up now. Is there anything else that you would like to add in closing?
Not that I can think of. Anything like what?
Okay.
Yeah.
You think you've said enough, all that you have needed to clear? Because, there's been a lot that has been said.
Yeah, the other thing is that this is not only the abuse that is directed to me. It also affects everyone that is in my life. It affects my family, you know. It affects everyone that is in my life, not only my child. It affects my family, you know, and not knowing what's happening. Seeing the child, a 6-year-old child, not going to school, you know, it's dragging, it's straining. Yeah. So I'm just fed up with this whole. I'm not sure if it's a play or what is it. He likes saying a strategic move, playing chess and all that. Probably this is one of the chess moves that he's playing. I'm really tired of that. I just want my life back. I want my life back because for the longest time my life has been stagnant because of this guy. My child's life has been stagnant. We have to be going on courts every now and then, going on courts. It's really unnecessary. it's really unnecessary, because when we say, let's go to court and finish this, he comes and say, let's talk about it. He's just delaying. So it's just delay after delay, tactic after tactic. You know, it's just abuse. I've really had it.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yo, Azalani, you heard for yourself. This is sad, but I'm so proud of you, sis, for actually just standing up for yourself, like I said. And I hope that this is actually going to say, listen, this new me that you are seeing here is one that is really tired, and I'm ready to fight for myself, and also just to cut all ties so that I can start living my life, going forward. And so that our son has to grow up in an environment where, even though the parents or the marriage didn't work out, you guys can still co-parent, the child can still grow up, and you don't have to suffer, because the first person who gets to, be affected by whatever it is that is happening to
child.
you, it's your child. So if you can close this chapter of your life, then your child does not have to be negatively affected by the things that are happening in your individual lives, So I'm hoping for the best. I hope that you resolve this issue so that at least you guys can both move on with your lives. You go your separate ways.
Thank you.
Anyway, with that being said, Abazalwani, it is what it is. Thank you so much for joining in. I'll see you on the flip side. God bless you. Mwah.